Hey guys, this is Danae. I just wanted to come back and do a very quick update about being a frontline worker during this pandemic, being at a hospital in New York. I work in the Bronx, as you guys know if you follow my channel. So this is really just, a vague update. And I know a lot of people, I've been seeing like things going around of them, firing people because they're speaking out about the conditions that, healthcare workers are enduring. I will tell you right now, prior to coronavirus, I resigned. So, and this has nothing to do with the pandemic. I was burnt out already. My hospital wasn't a place that valued the employee. It was, being operated as a business, and they wanted to suck as much life from you as humanly possible. Like, that's how I feel. So I just felt like that wasn't the right role for me. So in February, the beginning of February, I actually gave verbal notice, and then I gave 6 weeks notice. So this was before Corona even happened, and I only have 5 shifts left in the ED. I'm not saying that my fight against Corona is 100% done. There is a possibility that I will take a crisis position. I was offered a crisis position, and then the hospital decided to cut the pay rate, and I said, if you don't, for me, it's kind of hard for you to offer one thing and then say, oh no, we're not going to offer that much, and for the situation to be as dire. And I know the people that are making these decisions, they're not the actual frontline workers. So I'm putting my life at risk. I'm putting my family's life at risk because I do live with my parents. So I just decided the job wasn't worth it. So if someone makes me the right offer, as of right now, my fight will be ending in 5 days. So I just want to give a quick update from the front lines. Basically, I showed up for my shift Sunday night. It was an overnight. We had 3 attendings, 2 physician assistants, 2 nurses, 1 technician, and a nursing student in the entire department. They had a nursing student watching psychiatric patients that should have been on one-on-one observation. And this is not to say that the hospital is doing anything wrong. It's more so like, I think the department is just doing the best that they can do with the staffing that they have. Typically, we consider 5 nurses overnight as still being low staffing. The hospital probably needs more like 6 to 8 nurses to be properly staffed overnight. We had 2. 1 nurse working as triage and charge, 1 nurse working in the entire ED. Our ED is broken into 2 sections now because of Corona. I man the back section with with an attending. The proper staffing for that should have been, instead of 1 attending, 1 PA, really should have been 2 to 3 PAs to the 1 attending in the back. And luckily, I had a really good attending. He took some sign out from a PA, and instead of having me take all sign out, just so we kind of work together as a team. So that was really great. And then in the front, there were 2 attendings and 1 PA managing all of the patients with COVID, all of the patients on vents. One good thing that my hospital did is they added a hospitalist PA, or that's what they're calling it. So when it's an actual person that does hospitalist medicine, I think it's a good thing. But when they're pulling from the staff that we already don't have and saying, oh, now you're the hospitalist PA, it's like, I don't manage illness. Like that's not what the ED is. The ED is more like a chop shop. It's like, I come in, I diagnose you, I figure out what's wrong with you, and then somebody else takes care of you. So managing anything chronic is not, like, I just don't have the training for it, and other emergency medicine PAs don't have the training for it. But back to the update on coronavirus. Is it really as bad as the news is saying? Yes. My hospital's morgue is actually full, and we have 2 trucks filled with dead bodies. And one of the problems with this is, I don't think people realize that death isn't free, you know? So you're like, yeah, when I die, like, who's gonna come at me to get money and things like that? But like, death really is not free. I have mentioned before that I work in, a low income area. So imagine if you're working a job, right? And with everything being shut down, you get let go from your job. You are already a low income person, and now you've lost, means of income. Now your family member passes away from COVID, right? It costs $3,000 to cremate a body. You have to contact a funeral home that's probably already overwhelmed. That entire process is, at least, this is a rough estimate. I just had to cremate my grandmother because of COVID. I wasn't there with her in her last days because I was afraid of exposing her to the virus. So during this period, my grandma did pass away, not of COVID. She was 97 years old and died peacefully in her bed, thank God. But we couldn't get the body back to Jamaica. There's so many things that we couldn't do, and we had to cremate. That cremation was $3,000. So to ask a person who has a low income to come up with $3,000, like, that's part of the, I don't think people realize, like, that's part of the reason why, like, these bodies might be backed up, because the morgue is overwhelmed, the funeral homes are overwhelmed, and also, if you can't pay to retrieve your family member, what do you do? Like, I don't even know the logistics and the bureaucracy and I don't know how anyone would deal with that. And if you are a person that comes from a cultural background where cremation is not appropriate, $10,000 minimum to bury a body. So I really don't even know what to say about that, because if the travel situation was different, if Jamaica was accepting flights, my grandmother would not have been cremated, and we would have found the $10,000 or $11,000 or whatever it takes to get the body back home and bury her in her plot next to her husband. But unfortunately, that's just not how it happened. I think my hospital has done a really good job with PPE. We're getting our temperatures taken as we walk in the door, and then we're being handed one set of PPE to take us through the day. So I think the hospital has been able to keep us afloat so far with the PPE, so I am happy about that. Like, I give credit where credit is due. I'm not going to come out here and bash my hospital. If my hospital does something wrong, I'll say it. If it does something well, I'll say it. But they've definitely upped their game with the PPE. And then the last thing on this Corona update is one of my coworkers is actually on a vent in the ICU. She is the sweetest nurse ever. She's just so sweet. She's a middle-aged woman, and yeah, now she's in the ICU on a vent, and I really pray and hope that, she does better, like, that she makes it through this. I'll just say that Corona for me specifically has been very, very difficult as a healthcare worker, and during this time, as you can see, I'm not, like, I'll show you guys everything. All of this is my eczema. When I get stressed, my eczema breaks out, and like, it's not just here, it's like all over my body. Like, my stress level is so high from being at work. And then as during, we have coronavirus, right, happening, but I also have a real life. I'm also a human. And in the last month, I've lost 3 family members. So, and not to coronavirus, my aunt had cancer, my uncle had COPD, and my grandmother died of old age. Pretty much. And yeah, and I had 3 days of bereavement, and I went right back to the front lines, and I'm dealing with a difficult virus with no staffing, with minimal PPE, and it's just been a trying and challenging time. And I think once I'm done with my last 5 shifts, I think it'll be a good time of reflection for me to think about what I value and what I want. Like, what I value, what I want. Do I want a relationship? Do I want marriage? Do I want children? I think before Corona came along, I was just kind of hanging out, living my best life, traveling the world, like, I'm not gonna lie, just having a good time. But it's actually made me think of, like, what do I really, really want, and what do I really, really value, and what's actually important to me. So that was just my quick update from the front lines. If you guys have any questions for me, I'm here. All right, bye.